Hello, city. Hello, world. Welcome to another installation of the Gospel Jazz Connection. Well, it may be a little overcast outside today, but you know what? We're still alive. And as of now, the government is not shut down. So I guess we're doing okay so far, right? As long as we're above the ground. But we know who's in control, so that's a good thing. I'm D-Nice, and you're listening to the Gospel Jazz Connection, and we've got a group of people in there today that's going to really bring a subject to light, and they're going to bring you the pros and cons and give you resources that they found and did the research from, but also when they leave today, you're going to have a solution. In fact, you'll have maybe 3-4 people here, so you'll probably have 4 solutions to choose from. That's our job, to not just present problems here at Gospel Jazz Connection, but give you some Bible solutions. So that's what we do each and every week. And when we first came on, I put up the name The Kerry Sims over our beautiful outside our window scene of the city. That's because the music you hear in the background is from his, yes, very good CD, and it's so titled Intimate Thoughts. And so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to break it all down today. So I want you to do this. Grab yourself a pencil, a pen, a piece of paper, because they're going to be sharing how they can be reached and trying to answer as many of your questions and take as many of your questions as we can. So the phone lines are open. So if you want to hit us up, you can hit us up at 323 area code. The number is 521-8960. I'm saying it once. So later on I'll bring it back again, but that's what we do here on the Gospel Jazz Connection each and every week. So we're listening to, once again, the name of this cut. Let me see what the name of this cut is. I could always ask Kerry over there, but he was writing in italics, so now I got to put my cheaters on, guys. So let me see what this is. Oh, I owe you. I like that. I owe you. No, don't take it seriously. I don't owe you. That's what he gave you. So you've been paid. And your salvation through this acceptance has been paid. So we don't owe anybody except doing what we need to do in our heart, in our mind, our spirit. And as we go on a little more, there is another message that's like a text or a video or YouTube that's out there that my brother Box showed me, and we're going to try to bring him on because it was a very compelling speech by a young girl. She had to be about 4 or 5 years old, but we're going to keep on trying until we can bring it to you, because you've got to see this young girl and feel the passion she's talking about. And that's going to be in line of some of the conversations we're going to have today. So once again, you're listening to the Gospel Jazz Connection. So for the next hour, man, just sit back, relax, and watch with your ears. Like I said before, we heard the music from the Kerry Sims. And so now we're going to get into meeting our panelists today. And so without any more hesitation, let's meet the Kerry Sims. Hey, Kerry, thanks for coming, man. How you be?
I'm well. Good evening, everyone. Everyone in the room and everyone out there in Radio Land. Today's been an exciting day. This is an exciting time. I'm looking forward to our conversation, and with my partners in radio crime.
Love it. You got to love it. And next up to bat is a lady that I would say needs no introduction, but we'd like to give the introduction because this lady here has been a focal point for all that is life coaching, public service, and also public relation training and delivers. She delivers the seminars. She's a multi-book author that have been highly acclaimed. This young lady is no joke. And she also look, we're going to make sure we bring it out later. But if you have a book in your spirit, she also ghostwrites. And for those that don't know about that, then she'll let you know what that is. But yeah, she can help you write that book and get it out there. So welcome to the table, Miss Linda Coleman Willis. Linda, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. I'm excited. I'm in the midst of all these men today.
Yeah, it's going to get used to it because this is a docket right now.
I'm liking it.
All right, okay. All right. For those that are wondering, she's letting you know that you can exist in a man's world and still stay on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing yourself. She wrote the book that really blew up, Loving Yourself First. So that's one of the things that I guess people could need to really start learning how to do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. Thanks for coming in. And to my far right, and to maybe your left as you're looking at it right now, this guy here has been out there in the scene forever, man. He's been one of the hot topics in the music industry. And those that, a lot of people that say, okay, well, I know Roger, I know his little sounds that he makes and whatever, but guess what? Rest in peace, Roger's no longer here, but the sound still goes on. And it's a guy here, the box, there's one of the guys, the pillars of the origination. He's continuing to keep it growing, and he's in the studio right now coming out with some new stuff and working with everybody. He's written songs that you've heard on the radio. Some of the most prolific songs you hear, he's wrote them. Still looking for some royalty checks for those out there that hey, no one, I'm gonna let you know right now, we coming for you. We got you. We coming. So you know what? Give the brother credit. Here he is, none other than Mr. Troy Box Mason. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I'm blessed. You know, I just want to tell everybody, you know, a good evening, and you know, I'm pretty sure we'll keep praying till it works. I will continue to say that because prayer do work.
I like that. Yes, it does, man. I'm a staunch believer in that because I've seen it work.
Yeah.
So now, the conversation for today, ladies and gentlemen, has been one of them that's been perplexing the world since it began. And so we're going to bring it into the conversation today and have a great discussion. And it's about necessity more so than anything else, okay? Because I know people don't just want to be out there and be single parents, especially the young ladies out there, because it's rough out there. You know what I'm saying? So the conversation for today is none other than, can a single mother raise a young man? And so with that being said, I open up the conversation, and ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seatbelts, fasten in, because we're off and running.
I say absolutely a single woman can raise an excellent young man, but I think she has to realize that she can only be the best mother that she can possibly be. I hear a lot of women say, I'm both mom and dad, and we can't be both mom and dad. And I'm not just talking what I don't know, because I was married at 18, and by 23 I was divorced and the mother of 2 daughters. I never had a son, but I had a lot of nephews, and my brother had 3 sons. And so I think the biggest challenge for me was to make sure that I taught them morals and values. And I don't think there's any sex, you know, whether it's a man or a woman, if you're teaching children the right thing to do. But there are some other values that I think children need that comes from their mother, and then other ones that come from their father. And I just think they have to have a man, even if it's not their father. I think women should work at really getting a positive role model, male role model, in both their men children and their women children's lives, because I think I got a lot of my confidence from my dad. he used to tell me, remember, you're the cake and he's the icing. He said a lot of people will take the cake with no icing, but it's very few people want icing with no cake. So don't forget, in other words, don't forget your value, don't forget your worth, and don't put it aside because someone comes into your life. And if it's a great icing, then that makes a great cake anyway, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, definitely, I think a woman can raise a great young man, but she has to know what she has to pour into him and not try to be mom and dad. She has to be the best mother that she can possibly be.
Agreed. I like that. Troy, you just like you're biting at the bit, man. Go ahead.
Oh, I totally agree because I'm a product of a single mother. And I think I came out all right, and yeah, of course. But also, I do agree that a mother can only do so much. And yes, it has to, you have to have a male presence. And in my case, it was, I got to see my father anytime I wanted to, right? Mm-hmm. But say, for instance, I got out of school today, tonight or tomorrow, I will be on a plane back to Louisiana, and which my mom had a whole bunch of brothers, and I had a bunch of cousins. So that's where I would go on the summer, or in the summer, I should say.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What's the most important thing you think you got from your mother, as a man, that you got from your mother?
Integrity.
Integrity.
Yes.
Okay. Kind of describe what integrity is.
Well, I just say I come from a family full of professional teachers. We have lawyers, doctors, a lot of professional sport figures also. So when I went back to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, my mom would send me to her oldest sister, my auntie, and she was a school teacher. God bless her. So she just passed not too long ago, and I kind of hated going there because every time she would take me to summer school. She would teach summer school, and then, I'm thinking I'm gonna be there in class and just kicking it, but she gave me the test too. So,
okay.
So integrity, and then my mom and the values that my grandmother instilled. Well, it keeps going down the line from my great grandfather all the way down. So, she taught me how to survive. The family rules, right along with my uncles, and then my father was there too, even though they wasn't together. So if I was out of hand, all she had to do was just pick up the phone and say, hey, come get your son. Yeah, he was quick to do it.
Okay, that's a good point that you made, though. So the disciplinary part of it, though, which she says when you got to a point where she had to call Pops on you,
yes.
Then was it a situation Pop rolled over with the strap or with the tree trunk, or how did that work out?
Or
was it necessary?
My father had this voice.
Okay.
Okay. And
wow.
Yeah, he had a real strong voice, but see, mine's kind of unique. Say that I was in school, and one time I was cutting up in class, and you had one of those classes here, you had this door and you had the back door, and I'm just cutting up. The teacher ain't seeing me. She actually looked at me and didn't say anything until a couple of friends of mine said, hey man, sit down. And I didn't sit down. And then I just had this eerie feeling. I turned and looked in the back door, and my dad was standing there. And I think I swallowed my heart and everything else by that time.
Sure you did.
So my dad just, quietly said, may I talk to him? And so, he kind of didn't embarrass me, but halfway out that door, he jacked me.
Right. Okay, I got you.
And I've never done that before, So he was the type that would just pop up. So I had to be on my P's and Q's.
No, that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? To have a father that's involved like that.
Right.
We came from a time when our parents were very much involved. Now, earlier times when the dad was the worker, he couldn't always take off. So I want to hear about the ones, and we'll get into it. Even stories that you've heard of where mom had to show up or grandmother had to show up, whoever the custodian was. And it's usually when the dad would show up because he had to get off work to come over there because he's working and bringing the bridging. It was one of the situations to where he grit his teeth, he took you out, and he did what he needed to do outside of school. Now, what I've seen from the single mothers and the grandmothers, they ain't worried about it. They will hit you upside the head right there on the spot. Drag you by the collar. See, those are the kind of stories that we need to know. I know you've been through that too. I know you've seen that too.
Used to make me go out there and go get my own switch.
At school?
No.
And embarrass you like that?
No, not at the
No,
school.
I'm just saying
they
at the
make
school.
you go out and go get your own
No, we all know
switch.
that. But I'm just saying, what about the school? How was the school thing if you tripped?
Like I said, mine is kind of unique. My mom was a tomboy, and very beautiful, elegant, and all that. She came here to be a model, and she modeled and did her thing, but she was a tomboy.
Okay.
So anything went down, my mom was at the school.
Okay. Did she have to lay hands on the brother? Pray? Lay hands?
I got talked to. They didn't embarrass.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh, that was cool then. Okay.
I got
wow.
talked to, but I know when I came home.
Right. Then the follow up.
Yeah, it was on and cracking right then and there.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to tease the kids.
Huh?
Where did you grow up?
In between. I came off of 43rd and Main.
So here,
and
locally?
here in Los Angeles, and then we moved to the West Side. In 1970, and
we got you.
And then from back and forth, I was raised here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
I never spent a summer out here until maybe in the 12th grade.
Okay. It's southern.
Yeah, I mean that's that bayou whoopings too. You know what I'm saying? We know about that. Well, no one can hear that cry for help.
Oh, where's punishment right along with that?
Well,
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk to D. Kerry Sims for a second. So I know he's sitting there with a smile. Yeah, I know you went through some stuff. So come on, talk about it.
What do you mean I went through some stuff?
No, you've heard it, you've seen it, or whatever. I mean, whether you witnessed it or whatever, tell about it. That's cool. We'll hold your anonymity.
The question on the table is, can a woman raise a man?
Right.
Okay.
A single mother.
A single mother raise a man. How do you define raise? What's the definition of raise?
Well, you know,
hang out with him.
No, wait a minute. No, look,
change his diaper.
It's her son. So she's got to wake him up in the morning, put him in bed at night, everything in between. That's her son.
A man raises a man.
Okay, expound upon that.
Well, going back, I want to tie in my particular family. A brief part of that. And I have 16 brothers and sisters. My dad, we didn't find this out. I'm a twin. Twins run in my family, and so I have a twin sister. Now, make a long story short, when my father passed at 85, not 1985, he was like 85 years old. We were deciding who was going to speak, and so everybody was like, nobody's going to speak. Because, how do they say it? When the image is better than the reality.
Okay.
Come to find out, I didn't know this though, that my dad didn't spend time, or he didn't stay there with my siblings' mom. He stayed with my mom. You know, they're like older. I mean, when I was a baby, they were in their 30s, you know, 20s, 30s. And so they had a lot of, my brothers had a lot of challenges. I heard terms like discipline. I don't see discipline as always being a whooping or go out there and get your stick. What about love and interaction between a male and a female, husband and a wife? Good and bad times, bills, how do they interact? How do they communicate with one another? The tones of voices, the nonverbals. Those are things that are important to learn.
Yeah.
So if you don't pick those things up in that realm where you have a mother and a father, so to speak, and there's a lot to talk about, but you have a tendency to be at a deficit and you may not even know that. a lot of times we pick up bad habits. Now, my brothers picked up a lot of bad habits. I've seen my dad lay a gun on the table and tell him, if you move, I'm going to shoot you. I know it was a threat. But the point was, discipline was pretty severe.
Right.
You understand? But he didn't spend time with him. On the other hand, I'm the one that's traveling around the planet. Literally. And my older brothers are coming up to me asking me, they're saying to me, you know, you made the right choices. I made the right choices not because I was God or anything like that. I had somebody depositing in me, and that was my dad and my mom.
Okay.
You understand? So I got to see the insecurity of my mom, you know, learning that there's at the base of every woman is a little bit of insecurity. They may not admit it, but there's insecurity.
Okay.
And a man responds a little bit differently. His insecurity is from within. A woman's insecurity is from without. Her surroundings, her environment makes her feel more secure. The interaction between those kind of things, how do those two complement each other? Those are the nonverbals that I've seen happen that my brothers and my sisters never got to see.
Okay.
You understand? So there's more to raising a man than just spanking him or whooping him or coming up to his school and telling him you better straighten up.
Okay, so I have a question for you. You started out with the statement saying that only a man can raise a man.
Exactly.
But I haven't heard from everything that you've said.
That's a lot to talk about.
Okay, yeah, but just explain to me why only a man can raise a man. What is it that makes you believe, or what evidence at the end of whatever that justifies that statement?
Well, personally, there was a point in time that I didn't hear my mother like I heard my father. There's just something, let's say for an example, if she came at me to discipline me, it didn't feel the same. It did not register the same. It didn't. My respect for her as my mom and my woman was, as a woman, was always like the same. But when I became a man, there was a different type of discipline that I needed in conversation that I needed to respond to me and what was inside of me. Let's say the king in me.
So are you saying if the dad had not been there, you would not be the man that you are today?
I can only say that because my dad was there, I'm the man I am today.
So you believe that? Okay, that makes
you understand? I can't say it made a major difference in my life. Now, have I been through challenges? Major challenges, but my processes to challenges are different. I process differently. You know, I literally, my brothers were pimps. They were pimping women. You understand? I mean, some was running them, some was having thousands of kids all over the place. You know.
Would it surprise you to know there were 4 girls and 1 boy in my family? Would it surprise you to know that I act differently to my mother's discipline than I did my dad's?
Exactly.
Mainly, my dad just had to speak his. And he did not like to hit. You had to push him a long way, especially girls.
I got 5
But my
spanking.
mom, you had to duck when she say something because she might, women tend to be more emotional. So something
Exactly.
might come flying across the room.
But is that how you did your children?
No, but I'm going back to what you said about a man and a woman, and you said your mothers didn't feel the same.
No.
My mothers didn't feel the same to me,
No.
and I'm the same sex. So it may be just that their way of communicating the same thing. Her discipline was
No. Let me say this.
What?
I'm a man. You're a woman. There's a voice inside of me that you'll never have.
There's a voice inside of me that you'll never have.
But the topic is, can a woman raise a man? So that's the topic. It's not. It's not going back towards a woman.
Well, both points. I'm sorry to.
No. But I'm not completing I'm not. Go ahead.
There's valid points. I sat and I listened, and like you said, the question at hand is, can a woman raise that young man? First of all, it's a child.
Not the same.
It gets to. I'm just saying.
No,
experience.
go please. Go ahead.
I'm just saying from experience.
Right.
Okay, I heard all these other stories. Right. I never went through all that, and I was with just my mom. Right. And like I said, my situation, I got to see my father, and anytime I wanted to, and then I had uncles, and all that. Right. The woman is going to have that child. happened to be a male, okay, that mother's going to raise that child to a point just like my mom did me, and she said to my father, I cannot teach him how to be a man. Okay? And so my father, uncles, everybody else, I had strong male figures, but I have also strong women figures in my family. But the thing is, what I was hearing in between, it got into all these different other aspects. Okay? And you know what, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But for the listener, and the subject is, can she raise that child without that man? And I say yes, because it can be, but there is at a point where if that child is a male, he has to have a strong male figure to teach him how to be a man.
That's correct. And you know what? I really appreciate you bringing it back on point. Great point. Because that was a whole adage here. And you're right. I concur with that. Because she is raising, just like if you put a seed in the ground, you're raising corn, wheat, tomatoes, whatever, right? You planted that. The mother carries that son. Okay, and so after the birth concept of it, she becomes a single mother at the time that the father decides he doesn't want to be a part of that identification. Okay, so now it's a single mother because she's raising that young man, but she's raising the kid. Let me put it in perspective: the kid, but the kid comes from a baby stages to adolescence to puberty and grows up. At a certain point, at a certain point when he starts becoming a young man and whatever, yeah, that's different. But raising him, she can do that alone to a certain point. Okay, that's what I'm saying, because he's still a kid, is still under, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm a grandfather that with a 9-year-old, and, my daughter's a single mom.
Right.
Okay? The father's in the picture, but he does it whenever he wants to be convenient, okay?
Right.
And so me as a grandfather, I stepped up or whatever so that she would never have to stress.
But he has a man.
Yeah, but right, exactly, yeah.
So is she raising him to be a man, or is she...
No, she's raising him. But she's feeding, clothing. She's right now. Hold on. Let's not intersect right now. She's raising him. Now the part of it that instills in him what a man should look like, the picture of a man should be. She can't bring that to him.
Right.
That therein is the situation where the man influence, whether it's uncle, grandfather, the father himself, or whatever, have got to put those values in. But now where she comes into is where she can say, "This is the way you treat a young lady. Here's the way you do it at school. You don't go hitting on a girl and setting those precedents that a young boy gets from his mom." Go ahead, Linda. I see you.
Yes, because she said that's where a man steps in and bring those values. Values don't have to come from a male or a female.
No.
Because he gave us an example somewhere where there was a man there, but those boys went astray.
Right.
Not him, but the boys went astray.
No, the man was not there. The man was not there.
Okay, so would it surprise
in their
you?
life.
Would it surprise you to know that a woman can't raise a woman all the way to be a woman?
That's what
she can't. No,
but see, that's what I'm saying. How do you identify your question, because it's sort of flipping?
But we don't have to stay exactly on that point.
Exactly.
It's for discussion.
Exactly. Well, we got to start a groundwork.
We want to open it up for discussion.
We're just laying the cement now.
Because a lot of people do believe that a woman can't. There are people out there in our listening audience that will say you can put that question out there, and they will say absolutely not.
Right.
And there are other ones that will say absolutely. Arsenio Hall, you know who Arsenio Hall is? He said he was raised in the house with his mother, his grandmother, and his auntie, and everything he knew about women came from them. There was no man on the scene for him, and of course he grew past, and he said he knew more about women than he really needed to.
Great point.
But yeah,
that same thing. That's what happens. See, I know how to see. That brings up a very good point and a valid point. Now, let me say one thing.
Go ahead.
It's about values, morals, values, ethics, all of that. It's not necessarily male, female.
Right, exactly.
It's about heritage. It's about heritage.
Oh, that's what you were about to say.
Yeah, but that's fine.
It's
that's
about
great.
Masculinity. It's about it's more than values, because values don't teach a man how to be masculine in different environments, especially since most of us in this room are of color. What is your masculinity looks like?
Okay, let me make my point. Okay,
you got a point to make?
Yeah,
but hang on for a second.
I was going to say it.
Hang on for a second. I was cut off.
Go ahead.
I was cut off. It's hard to say. No one is saying that a woman is not doing a good job if she's a single mom. I don't think it stops right there. It doesn't say that she's doing a bad job if she's a married mom, because that's, when you say your question is a great question, but it's still very broad.
Yes,
you understand. So I'm talking about from an experience that I had with two parents, not a single parent. That's not the only perspective. I can go over into 14, 15 other brothers and sisters and talk about them not having two parents and the ramifications of that, positive and negative, if you want to say it, positive and negative. At the same time, I know the benefits of having two parents and seeing the dynamics of that work itself out. And to see a man become a man, you don't look to a woman to do that. There's something inside of you that just will not let you do that.
No, we know. Yeah,
you understand?
Point
exactly.
taken. Point taken.
It was something.
Hold on one second. Hold that thought for a second. Continue your point. We got that. Okay, so point where? One second. Go ahead.
This question is so broad and so deep,
but it's supposed to be.
Exactly. There's other dynamics that we have to discuss as to what motivates each various condition that we as black people in America fit. Whether we have a dad in our lives, a male figure, positive or negative, just a woman in our lives. There's motivational situations that created those for us. We didn't sit there and say, this is what we're going to look like here. We are responding to something that's been imposed upon us and trying to make the best of it, like eating chitlins, eating hog maws, eating the worst.
I don't eat them.
But the point is,
I'm just saying.
The point is eating the worst of the worst and making it do good and call it great. When we wasn't even supposed to be eating like that or living this way. So we have to be honest with the conditions that cause us to be in the position that we are in, and not continue to perpetuate the surface of just talking about, even though we may have had those in our individual lives where we just had a mom or we had a mom and a dad. There's different situations that challenge everybody in this room, directly and indirectly, because of the skin color that we are. So this question, I agree with it, but I got to start from where I'm at and be true to myself.
That's true. Well, see, we're flushing it out. So good that you brought that perspective. We're flushing it out because we wanted an overview, because everybody's listening has their own opinion. They've gone through different experiences.
And their own experience.
Exactly. Now, if we go to Richard Pryor. Now, Richard Pryor, I'll tell you in a minute, he was raised in a whole house. So, I mean, that's like,
and his
we look at the worst.
Was the matter.
But you see what I'm saying? So he was raised basically by women. Now, if we look at the journey that Richard took, okay, there was a lot of comedic value in that, he says, that brought him a thicker skin and whatever else, and so he had to adapt. So we know there's different times where you'll have to adapt, and people listening to us will adapt, right? But yes, to the point that I was making before, and the question says it, yes, a single woman can raise a boy. Okay, there's a difference when a boy grows into the adolescence and becomes a young man. She's turning the corner. But right now, my grandson is 9 years old. He's not growing into a young man yet. He's still doing the young boy stuff.
Some coaches call it winging him.
But what I'm saying,
when he's trying to get winged.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, so whatever things that she does in school, and said, look, you can't hit a girl, don't pull her hair, this is that. See, we're not going to think about that situation there. We're going to come from a different perspective, but that's all he needs right now, and to be fed, washed, and whatever else, and does homework. Not saying that the father can't do that either, but the mother is holding it down as a single mother, so I give her that. Go ahead, Linda.
That is not all he needs right now. You have to consistently instill the value
Right.
I was raised by both mom and dad.
Okay.
And I want to bring just a little different twist. 4 girls, 1 boy.
Right.
The boy was treated quite differently, and he was 3 years younger than me, than the girls. There were some very high expectations for us. There were some limitations on us. He could almost do what he wanted to do. He could stay out late. We couldn't.
Right.
You know, but there came a point where he thought he was as big as dad, and dad
Right.
had to put him back in his
Oh,
place.
we all been
Gotcha.
there. I got checked like that too.
Yeah,
so.
he had to get checked.
Right.
So this is what I truly believe.
Okay.
There's something that all women need from their fathers that a mother can't give them. But there is something that all men need from their mothers as well. And there's something that they need from the opposite sex. Now, you hear a lot of women, a lot of people say, this is probably my sociology, psychology talking.
Right,
But
gotcha.
you hear people say that women have daddy issues.
Yeah.
You've heard
We've heard that. Right, right. Yes, we have.
they could have had a wonderful home. They could be educated, loving yourself first. Their stories. Read the book. Their stories.
Yep.
True stories from brilliant women, but they had their lives together. But that emptiness
Right.
was showing up basically in their relationships.
Right.
That lack of having a relationship with their fathers. So yes, a woman can raise a man and he can be fine, and she can raise a daughter who's not fine because the father is not there. So I don't want us to miss that piece, that it's just not a man raise a boy, a woman raise a girl, and everything is fine. Because it's not. God gave us 2 for a reason. There's something I need from my dad, there's something I need from my mother, and they both need to pour into that child as that child grows up. Now that's not saying you can't become a good person with just a mom or just a dad, but don't miss it that a man is only needed to bring a man into manhood, because he definitely is needed to bring a woman into. Now a mother can tell a woman she's beautiful all she wants, that same sex, but just hearing the same words from her dad,
Right.
it makes a big difference. And the same with a man hearing certain things from his mother,
Right.
that hey, man to man, he's talking to dad, man to man, but mother is saying these words to him.
Right.
It makes a difference. So that's
But then again, it's the bond, because like I said, now there's something that they try to tell us from the biological aspect. When a woman basically is nursing a boy child or a child, so the longer, I guess there's a certain cutoff time, and if somebody goes not years overward, I mean that's kind of crazy, but a certain length over that one there, it's more of a bond between, especially the boy's mother and the son. And even the ones that had 2 parents, so like a lot of athletes you see out there, because they're more so personified, and the people that hit the main stage, what happens when they get their awards or whatever? They usually thank God first, and then they're like, hi mom. How many of them you ever say hi dad? Very few compared to say hi mom.
Most of the time, Dad wasn't
Why?
there.
Yeah, the bond,
why?
but the bond, but see, the bond between the mother and the son is really deep. Now,
the
usually,
mother and the child.
well, yes, but
Yeah.
this
But we're
seems like
talking about men
We're talking about
today.
men now, but what I'm saying,
But I know
we can
you're
bring-
talking about men, but you're making it sound like there's a big difference, and I just don't believe it is.
No,
Well,
just for the sake of
I
this
would-
conversation,
wait,
we are
I-
talking about, can a woman raise a man?
No,
Well,
he said he talked about nursing and a bond.
the bond,
Yeah,
the bond,
he was
Right.
talking
yeah,
about
the
Between
bond.
a male and a female.
Yeah. No, the bond between a
mother
son and a daughter.
and-
Because let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. Let you or any of us know, and I know about it. You let somebody say something crazy about your mama, and the boy will beat them to amazing grace. Okay. Now with the daughters, I have a daughter, and most of the guys I know that have daughters, their daughters, if they have no daddy issues because they're good to the daughter and they raise their daughter well, let something go crazy with their daddy, they gonna jump. So it just seems that the mothers bond with the sons more so than the fathers bond with the daughters. Now I don't know if that's the law of nurture. That might have been what God intended. Who knows? But that seems to be, if you do the research, it's going to show more statistics that support what I'm saying. Now, not taking away, Carrie, what you said a minute ago, because in that one there, now let's take it a little step further. Can a woman raise a man? Okay, I was married to a woman when I was a young man, okay, in my late 20s, and she was 10 years older than me. She was streetwise, okay, and she taught me a lot of stuff I never got from my dad or my mom. And those things today, I give her credit. Although we've been divorced, we have my daughter, and I give her credit for being able to custom tailor certain parts of my life that are able to be today where I'm working with women so closely. She gave me that part on how to circumvent that world. So yes, I could learn as a grown, and I was a grown man, and learned a lot from my ex. And so, yes, and then there's others that are just like, you find nowadays, there are women that are making six figures and doing the things, the guys were just trying to muddle through whatever. And so you're going to find oftentimes men that have less to offer than the women. Now, if the woman is, money-wise, financial-wise, or whatever else, I'm not saying mental and all this other stuff, right? So we're already going in on a dependency because we don't have the money she has. But if she has the right spirit and says, okay, look, I'm not trying to lord this over you, but let's do a life together and we're sharing whatever, then that lets them see next time, whatever, I don't have to be all that to the next woman. I ain't always got to go in there and show off my cars and my money or whatever, because he'll find that there's a woman there that doesn't need him for that. Okay, so no, take it a step ahead. Yeah, a woman can raise a man in a certain perspective. So I just took it off to the left side.
Yeah,
because
sure
You're saying that your wife raised you?
Yeah, but I'm saying, but we're talking all around. But see, I'm seeing where you're going.
Your wife
We just took it
raised
deeper.
you?
Well, I'm just saying there was a certain part raising. No, there's a certain part that she embedded,
You said
raising
she
me,
taught.
implanted,
She said she
taught.
taught
I
him.
use
I'm
the
just
term.
asking.
No, taught.
Okay.
Because there's planting. There's certain
Okay.
things you plant in a relationship.
Okay, so
you're
your wife
planting.
didn't raise you.
No, I mean, you know what I'm saying? No, she planted certain seeds, and that's a part of
She taught
raising.
him something.
You know what I'm saying? Taught, raised,
Send
whatever.
it to somebody. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But see, you can't tick on every word.
I've been holding.
You know,
I've been holding
Go
this
ahead.
for a minute. Okay, and just like you said, my major was psychology also. When I just didn't finish, but here's the pros and cons. Okay, Carrie said there is deficiency in it. Yes, it is. What are the deficiencies? The point is, if the mother is raising a young man, okay, without the father, okay, he knows the mother love, he knows the whole thing, but what he doesn't know, and here's the deficiency part, is how to treat a wife, how to love a wife, how to, how to talk to a wife, because the father's not there to show him. The opposite. The woman has the girls or the girl. All she knows is the mom's point of view. There's no father there, right? So the daughter don't know how to love a man, how to love a husband, how to get respect from a man,
or give it,
or how to give respect. So it can be taught all day long. The mother, the whole thing. But what's the deficiency is that you don't get to see it, and it's a proven fact that those deficiencies grows a whole lot of things. Like you have to, like today, what I see a lot of boys in grown men bodies.
Right.
Always want the woman to do this for them because they're trying to marry or get with their mom. You know what I'm saying?
Textbook.
Excuse me.
It's all written down.
So it's like that, you know. And what I've seen, you know, over the years is that, you know, well, man, you know, because of whatever happened with that marriage or whatever, you know, the man ain't this man, all this man that. Every man is not the same.
You're right.
What about the men that was raised by their mother that knows the woman's perspective,
or the fathers that are pouring into the daughter.
Right.
Okay.
It's vice versa.
Everything is official where it is. Okay. Now let's go to Linda. Let's go to Linda. Okay, let's go to Linda. Go ahead, Linda.
I think it's just the opposite of what I just heard.
Okay.
A woman can teach a woman how to love a man.
Right.
She can teach her how to love herself.
Right.
And that's what it's about.
I agree.
Because if I'm loving me, I can, you know, and God loves me. and I'm loving me, I know how to love him. I know
Alignment.
how to love a man.
Yes.
I know how to love a man.
Right.
A woman can teach a woman that.
Exactly.
And she can also teach a man that. What happens in a woman or a man when a parent is absent, even if it was the mother, let's say the father was there raising his children, there is going to be some empty spots there because it comes from a mother.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that man can't teach her to love herself enough to not allow herself to be abused,
Right.
not to abuse anybody, because abuse people.
Exactly.
Healthy people don't abuse people.
That is
Those are those are unhealthy people. So if that unhealthiness can come from either parent,
Exactly.
it doesn't have to be the same.
textbook. That's textbook. But if it's not in your face and you haven't seen it, that's just like you can say, "Hey, look, I'm going to wire this. You know how to turn it on, this and that and the other, and the lights is on." But if you have not seen it,
If you hear that you ain't
that's
worth
textbook.
nothing,
I mean, you
ain't
can read
no
that all
good.
day long, but
you-
if it's not in your face, how are you going to do? How
it's
how you-
instilled in you. It doesn't have to be. You don't have
I
to
don't believe
see
that.
it. You don't have to see it to live it, but you have to believe it. It's mental. It is not physical.
That's correct.
It is not.
I'm with you.
No, I agree with
Right.
Okay,
that.
so all you have to do is hear it. All you
Well,
have to do
I'm gonna
is
say
get
this.
it.
Can I
get it?
I'm
You
gonna
don't
say
have-
this. I
It's
play
still-
saxophone, and I'm blessed. I'm not bragging. I'm okay. But part of my learning was seeing. Part of my learning was hearing. Part of my learning was experiencing the environment. Because there's more to the conversation of life than somebody just telling me how to do something.
It's textbook then,
Yeah.
right?
Now, this disclaimer says that this music behind us is written by D. Carey Sims.
But what I'm saying, no, we don't learn that way. I mean, we learn. I don't want to go into all the terminologies about how we learn, but there's various ways
We
that we
all
learn.
learn differently.
But we, as a human being, there's like. You eat food, I eat food. You drink water, I drink water. There's some basic things that we need that we cannot neglect. That if they're taken away, we die. There's certain things within the family dynamic that if it's taken away, we are dysfunctional.
That's it.
Black people, I'm gonna say this: we're dysfunctional as a whole.
Now, let me tell you something.
But hang on, because I sat there and I've been quiet.
Okay.
You guys, I pulled this up. Just the making of a slave, the psychology. I heard people boast about their degrees. The psychology of breaking a human being and putting the woman out first and breaking the man, and then having her how the whole dynamic of our society today speaks very loudly to his whole thesis.
Come on.
How he broke it down.
Okay, but
And
there are millions of people in this country who's never been a slave.
The
Exactly,
feminization.
exactly.
No. But the principles are still at work. Having money don't make you not a slave. You're a slave to a system. You're a slave to a system. So we let's look at our personal successes and say that I'm personally, but your community is dead. I'm saying this as a whole. The feminization of our men. Have you ever played in a prison before? Have you ever been to a prison where you've seen the predominantly 85% is black?
You're getting way off.
No, I'm not. Because I'm saying there's no fathers telling them young men, look, don't do this, young man.
That's all conditioning.
male
The
image.
prison is a condition. Slavery
No.
was
That's a byproduct. It's a holding tank
It's a
for people who
condition,
can.
though.
But it's because there's no government.
I've
But
never
you know
been
what?
a slave,
But
so
you-
I don't have the same condition.
What I
Right.
mean
that a
by
slave has.
government,
But
what
I
I mean
know
by
that.
government, I'm saying that without your fathers, Miles Monroe said something that the male figure has been diminished here in America.
It has.
To the point to where now it's feminized.
Right.
So that's dominant, where the women are one, they're first. And
Well, there's a lot of effeminate females too. Just because they're females don't mean they're not feminine.
But I'm looking at the men.
We're getting way off.
Yeah, we are.
Can I
Focus back
can I
in.
bring
Focus.
one
Bring
thing?
it back. Bring us back. Bring it
There are
back.
2 babies born in the emergency room.
Right.
One is male, one is female. What's the difference?
What's the difference
The
between a male and a
genitals?
female?
Yeah, but I mean,
Their
but
biological makeup.
they were born at the same time. They were born male, female. One's male. The only difference
One's
is
a
one.
helpmate.
No, the only difference at
Oh,
birth.
yes, it is.
But let me hear her.
We're talking
Hold up,
about birth.
hold up,
They
go ahead.
become a helpmate. The only difference at birth is one is identified as female, the other is identified as male, and all
Right.
those qualities and those characteristics.
point?
At that point, yes. Because
has
hold on.
both
If I'm a
genes.
nurse and I bring these two babies in
So if you
there.
told that girl you a boy,
if I told you that this is a girl, they're gonna wrap her in pink. I said that's
I
a
disagree.
boy. They're gonna wrap
I
her in
disagree.
blue.
I disagree.
They're gonna
Because
separate
they're-
them,
no.
put boys here, girls there, and they're gonna start treating them differently from that day on. That's the biggest difference.
if a
The
man was
biggest
there,
difference,
and I-
one has two
A man had to
chromosomes
be
and the
there to
other one
make
has
them.
two
Yes.
Y.
Well,
There is a difference.
and
No,
it's
no,
genetic.
no,
So it'd be-
I
yeah.
said I didn't.
There
I didn't
is a
no,
The body
no, no, no,
parts.
I,
You're
I
talking
didn't-
about-
I said physical. I said when they're born.
Spiritually too.
But you didn't put the. We don't control that. We don't control any of that. I said when they're born and they're brought in there and they're handed to a nurse, one's a boy and one's a girl, they immediately start treating them differently from that point on. And it has nothing to do, conditioning is what slavery is all about. If we had never been enslaved,
Right,
we wouldn't
exactly.
have those kinds of
No, we
conditions.
wouldn't, right.
So slavery's over.
So-
the whole
No,
principle's
but what
over?
we're saying, no,
That's a
but
whole
no,
nother topic.
but let's
No,
take
no,
this.
it's not.
But
No,
a
it's not.
woman,
But here's where we're
woman
at.
can raise
Me
a
and a
child.
lot of
Exactly.
men
to-
today are not messed up because
To
of
the
slavery.
point to where he needs that man to give him that part of the God.
Exactly.
But see, what I'm saying, now look here, I understand the diversity and everything we're saying, and I like that diversity. But see, we're talking community again.
Right.
This question was not a community-based question.
Right.
We're out there with listeners that are going to hear us in Beverly Hills, the Pacific South, South Central.
And it's
So
not a
we
black
cannot. It's
issue.
not a black issue.
Yeah, some
It's
people
never.
never
It
been
never was a
slaves.
black issue. So the slavery thing, although it was was not,
No, no,
it's
no.
not even
I
brought
didn't
in.
say it. No,
but
no,
listen,
no.
conditioning is not a black issue. It's an everybody issue. Whether
Right.
it's the
This is a
drugs or
human-
whatever that slaves you, then you're enslaved in something. So
This is a human issue.
But what slavery?
The way the principles and the philosophy behind breaking a human being is still working in our societies. What I said, it started with with slaves. These principles are working throughout our entire society.
Okay.
If it wasn't, we would not have the feminization.
See, we can
of,
go deeper than that. We can go deeper than that. So I don't want to go into that one because it's another topic for another day.
that's- yeah,
I don't want to get
Yeah,
off.
but the
yeah,
topic is, can a woman
Raise a man.
raise a male child?
to be a man.
no, a man. Can she raise a man?
She can raise him
A child
to
to be
a
man,
certain
boy to be a man.
point, because
He said to be a
if
man.
that male, once the male knows, and then these changes start to come at a
Right.
certain time,
Right.
it's almost the same thing as the young girl has her
Right.
her first month.
Right.
Boys go through their thing too,
Right.
And so that's when
It starts separating.
Starts
Yeah, because the
separating
mother is not
change.
the mother. Because my when they come in there and start seeing girls and they start getting excited, whatever.
Come on now.
My daughter's gonna call me and say, "Dad, you got to talk to him or her." No, she's not gonna. He's not gonna say, "Well, you got to use this and this is what you." No, she's gonna leave that alone. If she got the sense God gave a grasshopper, okay, and like with a young girl when she's talking about, okay, well, I'm getting ready to go into my cycle and whatever else. Now she ain't gonna go and take it to her dad and whatever because what does he know how to do? You know what I'm saying? So no, there's certain times when you got to leave the right passageway to the right passenger.
That's
and
all.
so
Yes.
no, we understand what you're saying, but everybody's
what
making valid
happens-
points
what-
today.
What happens if the right passenger is not there?
Okay, but see, with my
You-
daughter,
Hold on, you just drop it and say, "Oh well, I've raised you this far, now you're on your
no,
own."
did you
No,
find somebody?
no,
There's always
no.
support systems.
Here's-
Support systems.
Can I-
Yeah.
Right.
Here's experience.
Right.
I'm sitting here. Okay. And here's the point. This we're trying to give solutions to this problem.
Exactly.
Now, what happened with
Or
me?
address the issues.
And it worked. And it worked. My mom kept me busy. How she kept me? She put me in sports. I was playing with football. I was doing all these different things. She put me in male type environments.
Right.
So I looked up to coaches, not just
Right.
my father.
Good move. Good move. Got
And I coached for 19 years, from flag all the way to college. And so I see this in the young men
Right.
coming in, and so this system do work. Never been in prison. I've never been arrested on anything. And to this day, I'll be 57 in July, and I'm still doing okay. And what principles, going back to you, what my mother taught me, when I got to a certain area, a level, and then it was like Dad. If Dad wasn't there, boom, I went to Baton Rouge,
Right.
Louisiana. Had uncles,
Right.
used to take me out. Hey man, no matter where you go, you're gonna always be black. You just, teaching me,
Right.
work, do this. I had those male, but what I'm saying is, when I came back, it was just me and my mom. So what my mom did was kept me busy and put me in male type sports, and so I can be with males. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so it wasn't saying I was, back then say they called you a sissy or whatever. However, but I know how to cook.
But that
I
circumstance,
know how to clean.
that circumstance and experiences that brought
Right.
brought you
Mama
into
said,
that.
you don't-
No,
But everybody
I
don't
understand.
have that.
But everybody did. You're right.
Right, but I started off saying this
I got you.
part works.
No.
But there's other.
There are other alternatives. You're right. Depending on the situation. Depending on the situation.
and I know a few
okay,
of
but
them
bringing a
that can
point,
help.
then get you
Yeah,
giving a point here on this one here. Now,
he already?
I think it's more important in this compassionate look at men versus women, boys versus girls, that if it's a single family household with the mother, with the son, is good because of the bonding and teaching certain aspects on how to do and work around the young ladies and appreciate them. But the most important thing I see on the other side too for single fathers then with their daughters, because the first man they ever going to experience in their life is their daddy.
Right.
If their daddy tripping, he's a hoe and all this other stuff,
That's all
then
men
that's all
is
they're going to
that.
be attracted to.
Hold on. You guys
let me
must don't
finish.
know the statistics.
No, we're talking about individuals. There's no
talking about
stats
real
out there to
life.
cover everything.
I'm
We're talking about
80% of the families in America is headed by a woman.
We understand that.
Okay, so
But
she's not
but
going to
there's
be a whore because her dad.
no, but there's also a man
said
in
on
her
our-
Not
life.
necessarily.
She'll find one.
Not necessarily. She has.
She
to
don't
be
have any
taught,
uncles
no,
or no-
She has to be taught who she is.
But if she doesn't, a lot more women with
From her
daddy issues
mother.
don't have a
She has
dad.
to be taught from her mother. She has to be taught from her mother who she is.
But if
she
no
is
man's
taught-
there, she don't know how to. She don't know how to.
When she get out there,
She gonna practice on
If-
each
if a
man
woman-
and mess
There's
him up
internship
until she
and
finds
there's-
right.
there's
So now you
internship.
guys- hey, hold on. Now you guys know more about women than you do about anything else. I'm glad
sure
to know that.
do. I
But we know
sure
less.
do.
But we know
Okay,
less
then,
about
see,
men,
don't get him
right?
started because see, he got
We
a
know-
back. We got a
know-
backstory. We don't want to go there. Okay, we
Yeah,
got you.
We know.
We got you. Okay,
I know, but
we got
his
you.
backstory is his story.
Yeah.
It's not
Right.
everybody else's story.
No,
It's
right.
not my story. But I want to ask you. Can I ask each of you a question?
Yes.
What is the one thing you would tell a young boy in the situation where there is no man in the household right now? What piece of advice? He's smart, he's going to school, but he may be at that point where he might be getting away because, like you said, your grandson is, after a while, he'll be turned into. What advice would you give him?
And he just with his mother.
Yes.
I say respect your mother. Okay.
Protect her.
Protect your mom. Make sure you get your education.
Right.
Because this is what's going to pull you and your mom out. Okay. If that's the case, right? And respect yourself. Women
Bingo.
are flowers.
Good point.
What would
Good
you
rap.
tell him?
Go ahead. Come on.
In addition to what my brother Troy has just said, I would say also you have to know who your image is, and your image has to be bigger than what's around you because there's a lot of brokenness, and you got to realize that the male image has been destroyed. So just like I talked to a young man the other day at Home Depot, and he was looking for answers, and I just walked up to him and said, "Can I help you?" He was servicing me, and he said I was asking questions about what I need to do next. And I began to just interview him, and he's a single parent, and he said he laid on his bed and he was just saying, what am I going to do next? And then I began to talk to him as a man, and it registered different in him. Our images as a man has to be bigger than what's around us.
What would you tell?
I'm telling him, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
No,
That's
that's
what I'm
good. That's
saying.
good. That's good.
That's
That's
what I'm
good.
saying.
No,
No,
good.
he went to saying his image has to be bigger. I want to know what he would say to a young man who's about to step out and be a man.
Yeah, but we're trying to wrap up now, so that was a good wrap. So Linda, go ahead and just Linda, go ahead.
No, you.
All women are flowers, but some got thorns.
These were questions I wanted to hear from you.
But you know what? This seems like this is going to be one of them non-ending conversations. We got to bring this back and visit this, bring some more stats with this one here. And so, no, I got you. So for those that are listening today, I hope you got something. At least you got something that's a food for thought issue that you can kind of like go through and better. Yeah, and so you know what I'm saying? What you can do is you can hit us up at gospeljazzconnection@yahoo.com. That's GOSPELJAZZ connection CONNECTION @yahoo.com. You can also catch up with us every week. Same time, same channel right here, ktym.media. Go into ktym.media, and there you're going to be able to see our shows and just get it like that. Also, what we wanted to say, which I say each and every week, dude, the bottom line is put God first and everything else will follow. I guarantee it. Until next time, this is the Gospel Jazz Connection. Be blessed.